justice for all.
Linda, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Beatty.
Here.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Here.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Here.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Here.
Councilman Ickes.
Here.
Councilman Kelly.
Here.
Mayor Pacifico.
Here. Okay, before we open up the floor for public comment, there was an executive session after last month's meeting to discuss real estate, personnel, and potential litigation. We will now open the floor for public comment. If anyone would like to address council, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to under 5 minutes.
Devin Saylor, 1409 13th Street, apartment number 3. Really quick here, just for clarification purposes, I am not being reappointed to the Planning Commission.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Well, with that being said, I just wanted to come up here and say thank you for the opportunity to serve on the Planning Commission for the past, well, it feels like 3 years, but it would have been going on year 3, I guess, so 2 years. You know, it's been an invaluable opportunity to learn more about my community, you know, what all goes into working to build a plan for this city, its economic development, its people, and, you know, the vision that everybody has for the future here. You know, I just want to say I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and thanks for everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Devin.
Thanks, Devin.
Do I move this? Just, okay. Hello, my name is Louise Burkholder. For 30 years, I've resided at 2042 Broad Avenue. I will read my statement. I am very nervous and I slur, so please bear with me. The city has decided to cut down the trees in front of my home apropos of nothing while replacing our sidewalks. For those who don't know, a decade ago, the Broad Avenue trees were all removed and sidewalks replaced. However, the upper, historic end of Broad Avenue was skipped over to appease the Jaffa Shrine, or so many local residents believe. As is customary in this city, we were not informed as to why 24th to 31st Street got new sidewalks, but not 19th to 24th. Very sneakily, our end was removed from the historic Altoona designation, which now starts at 24th. Again, maybe appeasement for the Jaffa, so no rulings about preservation should apply to them. But now, the city is exacting a petty ruling by taking away both the remaining Broad Avenue trees and the green patches from beside the street, which everyone from 24th Avenue down to 31st still has. The city has decided that our end, with the beautiful Victorians that begin Broad Avenue, our end should not look as nice as the remainder of the avenue, because to just pave over everything is easier than to landscape us properly. Let me insert here, clever people find solutions, lazy people don't even try. Our 2 trees are beautiful. They keep the noise and pollution of a very busy street in check. They allow our long-established shade garden to flourish. The leaves are swept up and used in my husband's composting. They are small, yellow, and as such, add color to our property. According to Realtors.com, 1 tree adds 5 to 15% to a property's value, and we are talking about 2 trees here. Why does the city have the right to subtract value from our property? My husband has been in that house since 1985. He returned to Altoona with a master's degree, and unlike many of his classmates, did not flee Altoona but choose to stay and build a life in the city he loves. When my mom was nearing the end of her independence, we knew we had the option of moving to her lovely rural home with wildflowers and wildlife, but we decided no, we would remain in Altoona for the rest of our lives because we loved the physical beauty and walkability of our very green city, so we stayed. Oh, where the heck is 3? Sorry, folks. So nervous. We stayed and we paid taxes. We did all the right things as citizens, shoveling our snow promptly, volunteering, picking up trash on our walks, befriending generations of local children, never missing an election. Again, we did all the right things, but the city continues to favor slumlords. They, and not homeowners, get all the breaks in my neighborhood. During the late 2000s, when parolees were moved into the surrounding homes, we stayed put, despite living across the street from 2 convicted murderers. One finally violated his parole and another murdered again, but we stayed. When the drug dealers began occupying the houses behind us, we stayed, despite coming home to find users in our backyard, scary masked people in our alley, SWAT teams around our property. Through that, we stayed. Through the summers of late-night drag racing, the rapist continuing to live next door to the child he raped so the police could eventually get him for drugs, the myriads of young men barreling down the sidewalk on bikes and electric scooters, forcing us to step into the street, or folks leaving the Jaffa late at night throwing trash in our yard, blocking our driveway. Through everything, we stayed. My husband has worked incessantly in his spare time to improve our properties, uncovering a brick sidewalk, planting fruit trees and bushes, and in general, turning the vacant lots across the street into a pretty corner to be proud of. We often see out-of-state folks pull over to photograph our beautiful block. We feel pride. Sorry if you do not. And finally, on my 50th birthday, I created a 3-foot by 4-foot patch alongside the street of name-stamped bricks, mostly local, that I had collected for years. If you pull up out front, you can step onto this charming brick patch, as I did every Friday coming home from Geisinger during my week-long cancer treatments. By the middle of them, I was no longer able to walk, and yet, when my husband bundled me out of the van, there were my bricks, a testament to me still existing. You want to take that from me? Why? Why? When the city refused to include us in the original project, we took out a loan and paid big money for the highest grade cement, and our sidewalk still looks better than what the city put down later. But you want us now to have a cheaper looking sidewalk, no trees, and no green curbside lawn. You want to decrease our property values. You want to punish people who do the right things and never reward good citizenry. You want to suck joy from our lives instead of simply providing us with the same landscaping the rest of our avenue already enjoys, because that is the easy thing to do. Will you be compensating us for property value lost by taking our trees and expensive sidewalk? Of course you will not. You will never respect the homeowners in our part of town. In closing, let me say again, clever people find solutions. My husband has offered you several, and all that we ask is that you consider his proposals instead of coming to speak with him and spitting tobacco juice on our tree the whole time he was speaking to you. In closing, if we give up ourselves to Altoona, can you not some small respect give back? Thank you.
Mayor, council members, I come to distribute some pictures of the Orchard Park, which you've chosen to take. I realize this is not the meeting of the land bank. However, this is where it all begins.
we could take care of that for you.
That's fine. I don't
Okay.
want
We would prefer you,
here, I'm not going to hurt you. Here,
well,
here you are.
We've
Here
had
you are.
some-
Just please bear with me. Now, I know Logantown is the poorest section of town, but that's no reason for you to take the park. It's easy. Let's consider the park, okay? I'm gonna call the trouble, maybe you can try to run a little short on it. You know, if you use our permission, you want to use these. I want you to consider that, because what you did was underhanded, and I don't think you should remove the park. And I just want you to see the beautiful park that you want to take. The last one in Logantown. The last one.
Can I please have your name,
You talk
sir?
about giving parks to everybody. Why not fix it up and keep it up like you should have? Since 1912, it was a park. It wasn't blighted area. It's been cleared area. It's easy for you to take up. It has to start here again to get back to the land bank. It started here. Now get back and do what you should do. Thank you.
Good evening, council members and directors. My name is Shasta Langenbacher. I reside at 2524 Oak Avenue. I am directly across from Isolino Park, and I am also the president of the Booker T. Washington Revitalization Corporation. Booker T has enjoyed many years of service alongside you, so thank you for the playgrounds that you have provided our community, The most recent one is actually right behind Wendy's. And that playground has brought so much joy to not only the citizens, but also the children in daycare and also children that attend the Journey Center. However, the reason why I am approaching you this evening is in regards to the Orchard Park. Unfortunately, it seems with creative interpretations from the study, Altogether Altoona, that the city has decided that that parcel was more valuable as housing rather than a park. And that's really unfortunate because I know, working alongside many of you, that you understand the value that parks can bring to our community. Neighbors in that area had started a petition. I know that many of you have received probably a notification from change.org about it. As of this morning, there was 1,038 individuals who had signed that petition. Looking at the signatures, 65% of them reside in the city of Altoona in zip codes 16601, 02, and 03. That is at least 65% of your voters and your constituents, which makes up 674 people in your city who do not want to see that park leave. And I sat in here at the last meeting in December, and I know, Mr. Beatty, you had mentioned that people say, not my park, not in my backyard. I live 10 minutes away. So for me, it's important that everybody has a park. Now that I have kids, I see how incredibly important building those community connections really are. With Booker T, I have signed up multiple organizations, and we hosted 6 block parties last year in our neighborhood parks, celebrating our micro communities, building relationships with neighbors, and bringing love into that community, whether it's through a smile and a hot dog to say hi to someone that's been shut in their house for a month, to having kids run free and find someone that they can play with on a Tuesday evening in the summer. I just want to let you know that interpreting that study, that we need more housing in our community, yes, we do, but please, the next time that it's considered to take land from a park and turn it into housing, please do not table the motion, discuss it, and then kill that motion. It's not acceptable. All children deserve a park. All of our residents deserve to have a park that they can walk to. I don't know about you, but I have toddlers. Trying to wrangle them in a car seat just so they can go climb on a freaking jungle gym for 10 minutes and then scream they have to go to the bathroom, it's not worth it. Our young families need to have that resource in their front yard, backyard, side yard, walking distance from their wagon so the kids can enjoy and have fun. People that are shut in, like one of my best friends just suffered a stroke. She can hardly walk, but she's 2 blocks from my park. So I know that she at least has a green space that she can visit and make it a part of her physical therapy routine. These are the spaces that you're taking from people. So please, next time, table the motion and keep our parks. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, neighbors. I'm trying to keep my composure. My name is Timothy Smith. I live at Rose Hill Drive. I was born in Osceola Mills, Pennsylvania, and I grew up in a very toxic wasteland of a town at the time near the Meshannon Creek, which was contaminated with abandoned mine drainage, and the playgrounds were toxic. In the center of town was a small park, and it still is there. And I grew up, went and joined the Army, and I come home. I still keep all my membership in the VFW and American Legion. We have the museum and the library there near that park. And I now live in Altoona. Lived here for 3 years. I love Altoona, and I was a part of the comprehensive plan. And I was very surprised when I saw, after having been part of the comprehensive plan, having looked at the 2021 Parks and Central Blair Parks and Recreation Comprehensive Plan, which was rather forward-thinking. I was really looking forward to what we would be doing with green spaces and parks in Altoona, especially like Orchard Park was one. They were going to have give a chance for people to have gardens. I'm a gardener. I bought a farm, we have one little farm way out on the edge of Altoona, still within the limits, built in 1865, and trying to roll it back. So that was sort of stunned to see how this park could suddenly be transformed from a public space, a park, and being developed for housing. When I liked the land bank and started following it because I think the tool to redevelop and put stuff back onto the tax rolls, that's a valid tool. And I spoke for that, and I've explored it since then. I would like to say, before I continue, I don't want to take a lot of time with this. I do appreciate, finally, after all of this, since the first time I spoke here, just before the meeting, the solicitor reached out and wants to talk. And I've been looking forward to people talking. That would have been very nice. Because I was shocked. Again, I'm a veteran. I'm a member of the VFW, American Legion. I served in military intelligence. I would rather be at my house working on my house. But you unlawfully took a public park and you've transferred it and you've sold it. We've been trying to call this out. We went to the land bank. We brought it up. The solicitor gave a public comment that was published in the Mirror that said because it wasn't dedicated as a park, therefore you could do what you want to. Well, there's a law passed in 1957 called the Donated and Dedicated Property Act, and it covers parks. And the Supreme Court of this Commonwealth, just as recently as 2018, has ruled about parks, whether they were designated or dedicated with a big parade and a band, or whether, like Orchard Park, you put in playground equipment and you put up a sign like this one has. It says, this is a park. Here's the hours. Here's a sign that says under police surveillance. So it's been a park. You can hear the testimony. And there's a way you have to get rid of it. And it's important because it's also more than that. I'm from Pennsylvania. I've served this Commonwealth. And in this state, in our Constitution, Article 1, Section 27, we have environmental rights. So protecting the public spaces, the parks, for kids like me to go to a green spot in Osceola Mills or here is part of that environmental right, okay? And it's right there. In 1967, that law was put in the state constitution. Very few states have it. And I fought for that right too, okay? It's right in there. And it clearly says the people have a right to clean air, pure water, and the preservation of natural, scenic, and historic values. And a park is part of that. And you don't have a right to give that away without us having a say. And that's what we've been asking for. Part of this process is to allow these people to have a say what you're going to do to that park. And I know you said you published a resolution and that happened, and there was like 5 or 6 days when we probably could have said something. But nobody told us ahead of time. We didn't find out till the paper happened. And it's not for us to debate that now. It's going to go either you guys are going to vote tonight in an emergency and roll it back because you still can change this, or I'm taking it to the court system because that's where it needs to go. It's wrong what you did. It says here too, it's not about me. I know a lot of you think about the unborn, and that's a right? And that's been a big issue. Well, it's right there, Section 1, Articles 27. It says here, the public natural resources are the common property of all the people. The park belongs to everybody, all the residents, including generations yet to come. So if you don't change this tonight, you're with cognition, with knowledge, recognizing you did this unlawfully. I've already given Mike Wagner a copy of this paperwork, and we're going to talk after. I really hope you would take a moment and consider this. You could pause it. There might be a way to unwrap this, but I'm a veteran. I'm going to fight for this right for myself and for the generations to come. Thank you very much.
Is there any more public comment? Okay, we will close the floor and move on to the resolutions.
Item A is approving the minutes of the Altoona City Council meeting held Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Item B is reappointing Dave Hess to the Altoona Code Appeals Board for a term of 5 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2030. Item C is reappointing Norman Young to the Altoona Housing Authority for a term of 5 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2030. Item D is reappointing Mayor Matt Pacifico to the Altoona Parking Authority for a term of 5 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2030. Item E is reappointing Dave Albright to the Altoona City Planning Commission for a term of 4 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2029. Item F is appointing Peter Fallon to the Altoona City Planning Commission for a term of 4 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2029. Item G is reappointing Bill Neugebauer to the Altoona Water Authority for a term of 5 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2030. Item H is reappointing Don Belzy to the Civil Service Board for a term of 4 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2029. Item I is reappointing Ted Beam to the Civil Service Board for a term of 4 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2029. Item J is reappointing Joe Eccles to the Electrical and Plumbing Examiners Board for a term of 4 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2029. Item K is reappointing Stu Sellers to the Electrical and Plumbing Examiners Board for a term of 4 years. Said term shall expire the first Monday of January 2029. Item L is awarding a demolition contract to Earth Movers Unlimited of Kylertown for the demolition of 1916 10th Street in the amount of $11,487 payable from the Community Development Block Grant Blighted Property Program funds, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item M is authorizing an easement agreement between the city and the Jaffa Improvement Association for the purpose of installation and maintenance of a bus lane in front of 2200 Broad Avenue, as shown on the easement plan attached here too, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Make sure I'm on the right letter. Item N is authorizing the Cambria County Redevelopment Authority and/or Cambria County Building Code enforcement agencies to submit an application for grants and aid through the PA Department of Community and Economic Development through the Shared Municipal Services Program on behalf of the city, as the city will be operating an intermunicipal cooperative project for uniform building code enforcement, and further authorizing the interim city manager to execute all documents and the city clerk to attest to same. Item O is authorizing the destruction of city public records in accordance with the Municipal Records Manual of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And item P is appointing Christopher McGuire to the position of city manager and approving the formal employment agreement, and further authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute the employment agreement. Are there any additions, deletions, or anything that needs to be pulled for separate vote?
That is,
Hearing none, I'll call for the, okay.
With regard to letter L, I believe I need to recuse myself from that, in as much as I'm a member of the Amtran board, I also belong to the Jaffa, and I'm a member there. On that particular one. Michael? I'm sorry.
You said L.
L, the
Earth
one regarding
Movers.
the bus lane on Broad Avenue, I'm on the Amtran board, as well as I'm a member of the Jaffa, I belong to the Jaffa.
And you want to excuse yourself? from
Yes.
voting?
Oh, it's actually supposed to be item M. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
I'm
don't know
sorry,
what
item
happened there.
M.
I got it.
So,
Linda, I have a question then.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca, for, it's item M on our agenda with Cambria County Redevelopment Authority for building codes. Is that going to be in addition to MDIA, or are they replacing them entirely?
It's a third party that's in addition to Middle Department Inspection Agency. They're also known as Laurel Municipal Inspection Agency. That's what they do business as.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'm going to call for the consent vote on all items. Councilman Beatty,
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh,
Yes.
Councilman Klinich,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Klinich, excuse me. Vice Mayor Ellis,
Yes.
Councilman Ickes,
Yes.
and Councilman Kelly, minus the item, we're going to call it, on the agenda, it has the wrong item on it, I'm sorry. It's actually supposed to be item M. Mayor Pacifico.
Yes. So I can, yes, all right.
Mayor Pacifico.
Thank you. Yes.
The consent vote passes 7-0, and there's an abstention for Councilman Kelly on item M, and then I will give you an abstention statement that'll get attached to the resolution. Okay. We have an ordinance for introduction, which is an ordinance of the City of Altoona, Blair County, Pennsylvania, which authorizes the vacation and abandonment of a portion of a 15-foot alley situate between 18th Avenue and 19th Avenue, leading from 8th Street to 10th Street pursuant to Chapter 295-8 of the Altoona City Code, and further authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute a quitclaim deed to Brittany and Padalco and any accompanying documentation to relinquish any right, title, and/or interest the city has or may have in said unopened alley, provide severability of provisions, repealer, and an effective date. Is there a council member willing to introduce this ordinance?
So moved.
I just need one council member. Jesse. All right, this ordinance was introduced by Councilman Ickes. Then we have an ordinance for adoption, which was introduced by Councilman Butterbaugh, and it's an ordinance establishing and authorizing participation in the Cambria County Building Code Enforcement Agency and delegating municipal powers thereto. Is there a motion for adoption?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Second.
This ordinance was moved for adoption by Councilman Beatty and seconded by Vice Mayor Ellis. I'll call the roll for a vote. Councilman Beatty.
Yes.
Councilman Butterbaugh.
Yes.
Councilwoman Klinich.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ellis.
Yes.
Councilman Ickes.
Yes.
Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
Mayor Pacifico. And the vote passes 7-0.
City manager updates, Nate?
Thanks, Mayor. The one thing I think I failed last month to talk about was that December, when we did the December meeting, we had the opportunity with all of the staff. I don't know if I gave props out like I should have, but with the ARPA projects, all the money that was allocated to the city had to be allocated by December. So staff did a fantastic job, I think, across the board in every department. We all had a lot to do, and we were able to get everything sort of under wraps with not a lot of help from the outside. So that was one thing. The only other thing was, I think last week, was it fire last week or the week before, Adam?
Week.
So we had a pretty nasty fire the week before down below the Pen Alto on 13th Avenue between 11th and 12th Street. So all the departments did a fantastic job down there, including codes, APD, AMED, fire department, public works. So it's really fantastic to see everybody working together. There were some people that were displaced. There were cats running around. We were trying to find people's cats. We found an x-ray machine in one of the old buildings that had to be disposed of properly. So a lot of things pop up. You don't know what you're going to get into, but of course the city staff did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Anybody from the council have anything?
Nothing, Mayor.
No, I don't have anything, Mayor.
Nothing. Nothing, Mayor.
I just wanted to compliment our Altoona Police Department on the capture of Luigi. You did a great job, and very proud of how everything was handled, and just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the media, Bill?
Thank you. Matt, would you care to say why you didn't renominate Devin Saylor for the Planning Commission?
Just wanted to give Peter a try with his experience as a project manager on some of these types of projects. Thought his knowledge would be beneficial to the board.
He's an architect, correct?
Correct.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, he is.
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Would anybody care to comment on the Mrs. Burkholder's comments about the Broad Avenue project and her block near the Jaffa?
Bill, that's the same couple that you already wrote the story about. We've offered her trees, and the offer still stands to put new trees in. The current trees are paving the sidewalk. There's not really any good option that involves not removing the current trees. The offer still stands for new trees if they decide they want them, but they've rejected that offer a few times already.
Bill, the gentleman had attended the planning commission meeting a couple of months ago. Actually, I don't think you were in attendance at that one meeting, but had given a presentation on his concerns, and there was a series of discussions that I engaged with him on, and in an attempt to have some type of back and forth and genuine mutual conversation, but it doesn't appear that they're interested in having any other conversation of what's existing there.
That's Kevin Suckling, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the same household, Bill.
And that area wasn't included in the streetscape that was done about 10 years ago.
That's correct. That's
You
my
mean
understanding.
Margaret Avenue?
No, Broad.
Oh, okay.
Broad from 24th Street to 31st Street.
That's when all the controversy occurred, when PennDOT.
Yeah, the subcontractor on the project went overboard on just clearing out the trees. And it was pretty egregious. So at that time, council suggested that we pool our resources to do a total streetscape project on that. So I will say there was made mention about the historic district. There's a document that was published. You have to go back to the America's Industrial Heritage Project when Randy Cooley was here in the area. And there were 4 historic neighborhoods that were created in Altoona. And the Broad Avenue historic area was 24th Street to I believe 31st Street. It never included anything, and I don't know why that was done, to be honest with you, but it did not include anything on Broad Avenue from Union out to 24th Street. So as far as I know, that was never changed by anyone.
Mhm.
So.
Any other thoughts on that issue? Next, I guess I'll ask Mike first, regarding that law that we discussed by phone earlier today. Do you have any thoughts on that? And based on what Tim Smith said, and based on if you had a chance to read that law?
Yes, I did, Bill. The comments I gave you after December's meeting, I would maintain. There was no dedication of the park and no intent to dedicate the park on behalf of the city. So I think the city is acting appropriately based on the information that I have.
Okay. Would anybody else care to say, from council, care to say anything about the renewed presentation by the advocates for the park, given given what's happened at the RA level so far? If anybody knows or cares to say, is Jeff Long, who is now designated as a developer there, has he said anything to council about whether he's willing to go forward with it or wants to go forward with it? given the opposition of the neighbors?
I don't see how council would be a part of that conversation, Bill. I can tell you, I haven't been.
Okay. You mean as a member of the RA, you haven't been? Okay.
I'm not associated with the RA. Just want to be clear.
Oh, right, that's planning, I'm sorry. I was thinking,
I haven't heard anything otherwise, so.
yeah, sorry, Jim.
Enough problems.
Oh. You say you haven't heard anything? Okay. Okay. And then finally, Mr. McGuire, he is not here today, correct?
I don't
Okay.
believe so.
So to any council member or anyone else on staff, why Christopher McGuire?
Bill, I'll say this, we had an exhaustive search with the assistance of Strategic Solutions, an independent consultant. We've had multiple interactions with Mr. McGuire, including a visit to our city, and in my opinion, he seems to be the right man for the job at the right time.
Anyone else on that initial question?
I think Chris will bring some real solid leadership. He has some military service, extensive training and mediation and other abilities. So we felt that, you know, he was by far what we were looking for the city manager.
Okay. If off the top of your head, do you know what prior municipal leadership experience he has?
Bill, he had a 35-year career in the military, and he's been with the city of Clyde, Texas, I believe, since 2001.
Since 2001?
I'm sorry, 2021.
Oh, okay. Was that his first
Yes,
municipal
I believe that
experience?
was, he took that job upon his release from the military.
And how did he perform there at Clyde?
All indications are that he's done a very good job, and that's one of the reasons why we felt he would be a good fit here.
Can somebody say how many candidates applied for this position?
A lot.
You say a lot? Like
I mean, between last year and this time, I don't know, 25.
Yeah, it sounds about right. We had two separate searches. Yeah, probably over 20. I would agree with the mayor.
how many interviews did Strategic Solutions conduct, if you know, of anybody?
They're
right there.
They're here. You can ask them after the meeting if you want.
There's two gentlemen in the back there.
Oh, okay. Okay, I will. How many interviews did council conduct of anybody?
A lot.
We had a committee of council that interviewed, Strategic Solutions looked at some of the applications. They parsed it down. We had a committee of council interact via Zoom with a half a dozen candidates, and we whittled that down to 2 candidates who came to visit the city and interacted with the entire group of council along with a group of stakeholders.
How many times did you interact with Christopher McGuire?
Myself
Specifically.
personally, during the Zoom interview, during the interaction with the stakeholders, and Councilman Beatty and I took him on a tour of the city.
Okay.
The difference between this search and previous searches is we're becoming a more desirable city. Good things are happening here, and people are excited about the improvements in our city.
Improvements such as what?
Well, with the success in our downtown with the success in the various areas, the development taking place, like the Greystones, or I always like to say from green bean to green bean, so to speak, like 6th Avenue along there, and our codes department and the various ones that are working to eliminate blight and to get rehabilitation ramped up more, like with the RA, have been doing well, and people are seeing that.
Did council give or has council given Christopher McGuire, so to speak, marching orders, like any particular direction that he is expected to follow?
Bill, we just hired him 10 minutes ago, so we have not had those conversations yet.
My guess would be that he would get here and thereafter, expectations, individually would be had thereafter.
He was pleased with the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
I think it's fair to say that a number of the candidates looked at our comp plan and were very pleased with the direction things are going here.
Would it be fair to say that the expectation would be that he execute the comp plan?
One of them, yeah.
That's going to be one of his responsibilities, yes.
Bill, I would say we've been extremely happy with Strategic Solutions and their help, and we plan to keep them here to help the transition into the new city manager. So, we're doing everything we can to make this successful. We want, the city manager position to be successful. We want the police department, the fire department, codes, engineering, finance. We want all our departments to be successful. And HR, not forgetting about that. But, I think you'll see a new direction from City Council that, we're going to be very involved in the strategic plans going forward and how the city operates. And I think we're going to use, with the help of Strategic Solutions, we're going to keep the conversation open, and try to make Altoona more prosperous.
Okay. One other question. How and maybe I could ask Strategic Solutions people, but how extensive was the search geographically for the manager?
Nationwide.
Nationwide, they were
Yeah.
from all over. We were very pleased with the results, of the response. And we used all different methods to get those responses.
I mean, an ad in the Mirror didn't suffice.
It assisted, Bill. Thank you.
Pardon me?
It assisted. Thank you.
You do have readership beyond Altoona, Bill, so there is that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Meeting adjourned.
Hey, do you have a